Good morning. Boy, as I look out in this room, I think back to just a few short years ago when the first Ashoka U Exchange was held in a modest-sized hotel conference room on DuPont Circle in Washington, D.C. How many of you were here for that? I think that probably represents everyone that was there at the time. It's a real pleasure for us at the Cordes Foundation to be partnered with Ashoka U, to be partnered with the great work that Marina, Aaron, and the team are doing to catalyze this amazing network of universities as change makers. My journey into social entrepreneurship started actually 6.5 years ago. Two partners and I built a business in the investment field. We had an opportunity to sell the business. My wife Marty and I did something that we'd always wanted to do. We created a family foundation. And we found out really quickly that when you have a family foundation, the actual act of giving money away is relatively simple. It's automatic. You've got a team. It gets done. But the concept of how to give it away effectively, how to give it away with leverage, and how to use, in our case, we wanted to use 100% of our balance sheet, not just a grants budget, but also an investment budget, became really challenging and actually somewhat frustrating in the beginning. I remember commenting to our board that, we're not the Gates Foundation. We have several less zeros in our balance sheet. Several. Less commas as well, And in our case, what that meant was that no matter how passionate we might be about any particular issue, we alone didn't have, we couldn't make the type of grants that were required to move the dial. And serendipitously, as we were going through that process, I got a call from one of our board members who's a great friend and has been a real mentor to me in this space, Jerry Hildebrand, and Jerry is here today. And Jerry called and said, hey, I've got great news. This was back in 2006. He said, I've been selected to create a new center for social entrepreneurship, one of just a handful at the time in the country, at the University of the Pacific. I'd love to get your support. So I said, Jerry, love you, man. I'm totally in. I'm ready to go. I just have two questions. I said, one, what exactly is this thing, social entrepreneurship? I get the second part because I think I've done that for a while, but social entrepreneurship. And then where the heck is the University of the Pacific? So Jerry responded in his traditionally efficient way with two things. One was a nice MapQuest map to the beautiful campus of the University of the Pacific in Central California, where I've now spent a lot of time. I'm on the Board of Regents for the university today. And the second was a book that I'm sure everyone here has read. It has a dog-eared place on my bookshelf, and that's How to Change the World by David Bornstein. And that book was my first introduction not only to social entrepreneurship, but also to the great work of Ashoka and Ashoka Fellows. And as I became involved and as we created the center, and the center flourished at the University of the Pacific, we'd bring in social entrepreneurs, we developed a board of stakeholders. I began to spend time with these amazing folks that were addressing the root causes of problems using business models. And I think I just became hooked. And it was hardwired in me as an entrepreneur. And I also recognized something that I'd not recognized before, and that's the incredible power of the social consciousness of this generation. I speak now at about 20 universities a year just because I love the energy of being with students. And one of the things that I say when I speak is that at every university I go to, what I find is kids coming on campus at 18 and they want to change the world. And what they're looking for their university to do is to equip them, to connect them, to give them the tools and the resources to become change makers. So that's really what Ashoka U is all about, is developing the first and only of its kind national network of these universities to share best practices, to share strategies, to share innovation, to share not only what works, but in some cases what doesn't work, so concepts can be refined and improved. So it was in that spirit that when Marina and Aaron came to us with this concept of co-sponsoring an Innovation Awards, it just so resonated. This idea that each year we would select from a huge number of applications we now receive, that we would select 6 programs that represent particularly innovative, groundbreaking, and replicable opportunities. And we would use this awards presentation and some new tools we now have online that we'll share at the end to celebrate them, to shed some light on them, to introduce them to other campuses, and to really begin to create that type of innovation community. So it's an honor to be here this morning for the second year, and recognize 6 amazing programs. You're going to meet the 6 awardees in just a moment, and you'll have an opportunity to hear a 5-minute presentation about each of the 6 programs.